Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another live edition of Never Mind the Buy Box. And this evening, I am joined by the lovely, multiple talented e-commerce seller, 7 figures, Matthew Wright. Evening, Matthew.
Hello. How's everybody? We doing well?
Good. Yeah, we're just waiting for a few people to come in. Oh, I'll have to turn my phone on. Like literally we were talking beforehand, and like, Matthew, you're at your holiday home, aren't you? And give everyone a view of the view. Got a sea view and everything.
Yeah, there's like might not focus it. This is quite funny.
Yeah, it really is funny. I feel like I'm in the broom cupboard, because literally Matthew's got all this lovely light pouring into him, and you know, your lighting looks like it's pro lighting, because there's nothing better than daylight. Matthew Webley, Matt Webley taught me that. He's like, there's no better lighting, because like literally when we do this sort of stuff, I've always tried to buy the ring lights and the diva lights and everything like that, but the trouble is they show up way too much, and you know, in terms too many lines and too many wrinkles. It's like high definition. So I've not found one for me yet. And Matt Webley was like, well, you can't get anything better than natural daylight. That's the best possible lighting. And just looking at that, it looks like you're professionally lit up, but you're just in a really sunny place.
I'm in a really sunny place by the sea. That is literally it.
Exactly. Right. Have we gone live, guys? Evening, Ruth. Evening, Paul. Evening, Ted. Yes, I think we had James joined us as well tonight. So yeah, we're just going to have a bit of a catch up with Matthew. I'm talking about you like you're not here. Just going to have a little bit of a catch up. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's been going on in the world of Amazon since we've spoken to you last, Matt. So I'm really curious to see, with you know, the scale of your business, how you've been dealing with those changes. Obviously, being a multi-channel seller, selling on different platforms. Amazon, Shopify and eBay, and you know, if some of the things that we're experiencing on the Amazon market, have they translated onto the other platforms and things like that. But we'll have a good old catch up about everything that's going on, and really what your thoughts are for the rest of the year and Q4 and
exciting times, I think, this year.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, most people that kind of do this sort of stuff within the other groups, I think everyone realizes, you know, what a unique opportunity this year is going to be. And I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but you know, I saw some news updates today. Those numbers are rising on the COVID side of things as well, and I just keep hearing more, and I don't take too much notice of it. And by the way, guys, I don't want it to happen. You know, I'm not reveling in this or anything. I've always been someone that, you know, looked at the whole 18 months previously. And if I could have chosen for it all not to happen, of course, I would have preferred that. But, you know, at the end of the day, when you're running your own business, it is about, you know, taking not advantage, but, you know, taking, I suppose, the opportunity in front of you that's presented itself and running with it. So, you know, like I said, if I could have changed it, obviously 100% I would. And we don't want third waves and lockdowns and things like that. But obviously, if that is something that people are starting to talk about, let us know in the comments, by the way. Do you think, I know are we in a third wave at the moment? I'm not sure. I'm not, you know.
I believe we are. It's pretty bad where we are. It's pretty high in the Cheshire area, so.
Yeah, Bournemouth bubble. We never get any. I don't think we've literally, you know, we don't. We're relatively unaffected. So I think if they go back to a tier system, I think generally down south we're generally okay in terms of having those type of impacts. But I think, you know, yeah, like I said, let us know in the comments. And have you been hearing things about lockdowns coming and, you know, being locked down in the winter? And whereas I kind of maybe naively thought, that's it, we're done, we're opening up, it's all over, you know, that's it.
I don't think it's all over. I just don't see it. Another thing that people were talking to me about was the flu. The seasonal flu last year was its lowest since recorded history, which means you basically, because everybody was obviously staying away from each other, so you're potentially going to have a big flu wave on top of you know, the coronavirus pandemic as well. So it could be really, really bad this particular year. I've just seen that comment. Did you buy a holiday home with a 50k loan?
Right. Okay. I'm going to ask you about that. So for anyone,
I haven't actually taken it. To be
no,
honest,
I was going to ask you. Now, obviously, being in the position that you are, the type of seller that you are, you do get loans kind of thrown at you from Amazon.
Yeah, increasingly often this at the moment. It's really random.
Crazy. And I know Johnny asked that question. Johnny's a big seller, obviously, as well. So it'd be interesting to hear his thoughts on this as well. But what I'm getting, generally from people is that their restock limits are being reduced, but the loans are being increased, and it kind of goes against everything the way that Amazon is heading at the moment. So what's going on? Why are these crazy, ridiculous loans coming in? I mean, I know you're a big seller, obviously, Matt, but £350,000 loan offer. I've not seen many more. I've seen some in the millions. I know there's a couple of people in this group that have been offered millions. But when that comes through, tell me, because, I don't know. I'm fully transparent. I've never had a loan offer of that high. Nowhere near, by the way. Just let everyone know that. But what goes through your mind when that comes in? Is it really tempting, or is it just now something you look at and think, nah?
It is very tempting, to be honest, because if you look at the interest rate, it's pretty low. It's 6%. So it's if you're working on decent margins, 6%. If you take that money and you invest it into stock, then you could potentially double, triple your money on that on Amazon's money. So it is tempting in that respect. Obviously, it is a lot of money, and that can be a concern because it weighs in the back of your mind. I think it depends on your personality. I'm kind of one of these people that's just like, I wouldn't say blasé, but business has never fazed me. Whereas some people I know struggle to sleep at night when they've got a bill that's one day overdue, and I'm quite relaxed about things. Whereas I know some people do find things. They pay everybody early because they're worried and things, and it's just their personality. For me, the amount of money doesn't particularly worry me. And another thing is because it's invested in OARA stock, and I've got other platforms. I know if it all goes wrong, I could just sell it on another platform, and we buy at the bottom of the market anyway. So I don't know if I'd be that comfortable putting that kind of money into private label product, because I think the risk's a lot higher. Your product could flop, and then you owe Amazon money, and you've got tough product. But if you're buying OARA stock, then it's popular product. There's kind of very little risk in that respect. Mm-hmm. Maybe the worst thing is you selling your product at cost and you give them the money back. So, but again, it depends on how diversified your business is. If your business is just Amazon, that increases your risk. If you've got other platforms you can sell your product on, then it's not that much of a risk. And I know we're going to talk about the reset limits, but actually for me, the reset limits have actually been a really good thing, because it's made us really manage our stock much more closely and not send in too much like we used to. We used to just send in loads and loads of stock, and it wasn't really very well managed, whereas now it's a lot better managed, and we turn it over a lot quicker.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, Matthew, I don't think I'm giving anything away, obviously, by saying this, but you tend to buy quite high-end products that, in bulk as well. So, your invoices are in the thousands of pounds when you're buying stuff, multiple thousands of pounds, obviously. So having an offer like that placed right in front of you, do you think, knowing, and I know what you feel about what this Q4 is going to bring for Amazon, eBay and Shopify sellers, do you think that it's something that you will end up succumbing to, because everybody runs out of money in Q4? It's as simple as that. We all go through this period of time where cash flow gets tight, and that's when people really start looking at those lending options. So is it thank you very much, Amazon? Not at the moment, but let's see how the rest of the year goes.
Yeah, I think for us it depends if something came up. If a deal came up, then it's good to have the knowledge that the funds are potentially available, because it's kind of pre-approved. So I wouldn't say it's guaranteed, because they can still reject them. We have actually had offers rejected in the past.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we have some offers we've had rejected. So not recently, but we have in the past. But it's pre-approved, so it's pretty much guaranteed you'll get that money. And I noticed Amazon have become really quick at approving loans recently. We had one, I think last one was back in about March time. It wasn't anywhere near that amount, but they approved that in about 3 hours, and it was in our bank account, you know, next couple of days. So they can be pretty quick at approving them, whereas they used to take weeks to do it.
Yeah, and the thing is, you're literally playing hard to get at the moment, aren't you? And Amazon just keeps increasing the offer, and I've heard that multiple times from lots of sellers at the moment, because it's just literally, it's like, there used to be the rumor a few years ago, obviously, that if you didn't accept the offer and they made you an offer of like $3,000, you might get offered like 4 or 5 grand. They might increase the offer, but now those loans, they, you know, they're increasing by 30, 40, 50,000 pounds. And do you think Amazon maybe is not aware? We know they're aware about the restock limits issues with sellers, and obviously, you know, selling in the States now as well, we're very interested in what goes on in the US market. But in the US market, they're having an even tougher time. They've got the restock limits in place, and they're also restricting, starting to restrict shipments. Yeah, so that's the sort of thing that I'm kind of hearing about, because, you know, Amazon's just chock-a-block full kind of thing. But it just doesn't make sense that they're kind of putting out all of these loan offers, knowing that people rely so heavily on the FBA system. And don't get me wrong, I feel, you know, there's going to be loads of sellers that diversify. I know Johnny that's watching tonight was obviously going, you know, almost predicted that something was going to happen, and that's why he's transitioned into similar kind of model to you, Matthew, having your own warehouse, being in, you know, in charge of your own destiny, in charge of your own fate kind of thing. Because that, again, is something that, like you said, restocks haven't had a massive impact on you, because you have got the infrastructure in place to be able to make this pivot that Amazon want people to have.
Yeah, I mean, actually, we did a bit of a dip, because we weren't affected by the restocks, but we were affected by the price tanking. Because I just said to my guys, "What do you want to do? Do you want to join them, or do you want to wait it?" I said, "We'll wait it. We've got good stock and good prices. We've not got any requirements for capital at the moment, so we'll just wait it out." And we did, and we're now seeing the rewards. I think our July sales are up like 140% on last year, because we waited out. We had a really bad start to June, but by the middle to the end of June, we did 3/4 of the month's sales in the last 2 weeks of June. So
yeah, June's been
it really picked up. Yeah,
June's been crazy for a lot of sellers. And interestingly enough, going back to the point of the loans, something I want to say, Johnny says Amazon raised crazy amounts below 1% interest in terms of loans. Model makes sense, as the risk is so low for them if one seller goes bust, because they're holding all the inventory. I think it is one thing that the loan is based, or loosely kind of based upon what you have in stock, holding, what they expect you to send in, and things like that, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it used to be, because I used to mirror, you know, you could almost mirror your value of your inventory against your loan offer of 2 years ago. But this year, there's no way we have 350K's worth of stock in Amazon at any one point. You know, and they're offering us 350K, so there's no way that is going to be entirely secured against the inventory.
No.
So, I mean, with loans over 100,000, you have to sign a personal guarantee. So there's something also to consider here. You know, you can't just. You see, if it's over 100,000, they make you sign a personal guarantee. So that
you should have accepted the 99 grand offer. Done a runner. Done a runner with it. But I read this really interesting statistic, which was that my Matt, he gave me the article. I have to see if I can find it, actually, because it does affect a lot of people here. Not that this is financial advice, or I'm encouraging anyone to do this whatsoever. But, you know, a few months ago, it was this article, and it was literally about the Bounceback loans. And it was saying that whether or not, it's all speculation, obviously, of course. So this isn't gospel. So don't anyone not do this and then say, well, you said they wouldn't come after me. That the amount of Bounceback loans and back to work loans and everything that's gone on over the last, 18 months because of the pandemic, that actually some boffin somewhere worked out the statistic that in terms of what the government has guaranteed and everything like that, that they would be better off writing it all off instead of chasing it if people didn't pay them, because it would cost them more money to try and recover the Bounceback loans in a lot of places than it would, in guaranteeing them, kind of thing. How true that is, I don't know. And I wouldn't take the chance, guys. I'm just, sort of like saying that. But there was a lot of dodgy stories at the time about people, certainly a few people I know that are not watching this or anything like that aren't even part of this group. So I can say that kind of bought themselves some really nice cars.
Yeah, there seems, I'll second that. There seems to be a few nice cars appeared on our trading estate in the past year. Some nice Teslas have appeared in a few neighbours. Although apparently, there's actually, I'm not talking about Teslas, I was actually looking at this today. There's actually some really good tax benefits to buying a Tesla. So, because I think somebody posted that in a group the other day about they're looking to get a car on lease. But there's, I did look at getting Teslas because you can offset it against your tax, and you only pay 1% benefit in kind. So,
well, yeah,
very tax efficient way.
Yeah, no, definitely. This is what I meant to ask Mark Hawley about the other day, and I totally forgot. So, Mark, if you're watching or if you watch the replay, then let us know. It was to do with a new type of leasing of car that's around through businesses, because we got introduced to this new type, because we've always leased our cars. And someone told us about this new kind of car company that leased Teslas and electric cars and things like that. And although I really want an electric car, I still don't think the world's ready, for the infrastructure. And I'll be honest, I am the type of person that will forget to plug it in. So, if there's not like a point at every kind of corner, then I'm going to be in trouble and I'm going to get stranded somewhere without electricity. I know I am. So the world for me is not ready for electric cars. But I know so many people are, obviously. But what was really interesting is this finance or lease company that within the payment, they include everything. So, because of course, there's no petrol to take into account, but within the monthly payment, it includes the insurance, the car, like breakdown, everything. And you pay like a one-off bubble payment for this particular car. And I know someone that's got it, has a Tesla on it, the really fast Tesla, not the 4.4, the one that's got like the roller coaster technology in it, that's really fast. And interesting, because it's month to month, this contract, you can get out of it in a month's notice, this lease. And he was paying like £700 a month for the Tesla, but they've literally just put the price up to £1,300 a month. I don't know why it's such a big increase.
A lot of money.
It's a hell of a lot of money, but because it's a month by month contract, they're allowed to do that. So he's like, hang on, that's more than my mortgage. So there's no way I'm going to pay that for a car kind of thing. So I think he's swapping to a different type of car. But I meant to ask Mark Hawley about it to see if that type of scenario, I don't see any reason why you couldn't do it through your business. So, not sure. And especially like you say, if it's carbon neutral.
Yeah, electric cars have got very favourable tax benefits, but only electric cars, because I know it's hybrids are now starting to be unfavoured because they're, I think, is it October? They're going to be congestion charged now, whereas before they were free. Yeah. So it's getting tighter and tighter.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I say the world's not ready. We drove back from Ascot a couple of weeks ago, because we went up to look at this manufacturing equipment that we've bought, and on the way back we stopped at Fleet Services, and at Fleet Services they've got this which is one of the main service stations on the M3. They've got this whole bank, like literally 20 spaces of Tesla sponsored, I don't know what Tesla, like it's not a real thing, Tesla sponsored bays. So it is obviously it's definitely happening. It's definitely it's going. Yeah, there's no doubt whatsoever. Oh, I think we might have had a technical drop in something. The video's gone. Can everyone let us know? Can you still hear us? Can you let us know in the comments? It just seems to have completely disappeared off of my phone for some reason, but the viewers aren't going down. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Can you see it, Matt?
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh, I reckon it's just me. Oh, Jed says fine.
Yeah, all fine. Yeah.
On that note,
we're still on.
Probably didn't charge my phone. See? No way I should be left in charge of an electric car. Yeah, okay, everyone. Okay, thanks, guys. Sorry about that. Was a bit dodgy, but could hear. So I can't see who's saying that now. And Ruth says we're still on YouTube. That's fine. Okay, good. Sorry about that. Well, one of the things I wanted to talk to about tonight, because Matthew and I have got a kind of shared experience in business, and it's not a pleasant one, unfortunately. But I wanted to talk about this. I've talked about it previously on Nevermind the Buy Books, and I did check with Matthew beforehand if he was okay to talk about this, because it's something that, you know, often I think about when we do this type of thing. And the reason why I like talking to so many different sellers is because, you know, when it comes to talking about selling on Amazon, selling different platforms, it's so important to get so many different people's perspectives on things and how they do things and what they do differently. And I don't believe there is a right or a wrong way, you know, as long as, you know, you're comfortable with what you're doing and what you're happy in what you're doing. But one of the biggest kind of mistakes I certainly made in running this business in particular, an Amazon business, was you know, back in the day when we were doing, you know, a lot of RA, and, you know, the business was very much focused on me doing all the sourcing and everything like that. I was very much a loud and proud kind of, yeah, I'm the sourcer. I don't do deal sheets. I don't, you know, outsource. I don't do this and I don't do that. And to be honest, it bit me in the bum, because I didn't do that, because the business was all about me, not in that kind of way. But you take me out of the business and there was no business in that side of selling on Amazon. And I thought what was an interesting conversation. And by the way, the reason that happened, because there was a life-changing event that occurred in my life. And Matthew's been through something really recently. And unfortunately, you lost your mum, and which we were all, you know, really sorry to hear about. And my life changed. I lost my dad, and that's what caused it. But Matthew and I were in a really different situation, in the sense that, like I said, I don't think there's right and wrong, but there's a difference between protecting yourself and not protect. And I 100%, I'm always transparent about it. I did not protect myself with this business, because I was like, no one can do it better than me, or no one's as good at sourcing as I am. So why am I going to outsource it? You know, that type of, not from an arrogant point of view, but you know what it's like in business, when you find it hard to let go of things. And that's exactly what it was with me. But obviously you've had, you know, it was quite recent, obviously losing your mum, but you've had a very different experience to me, because your business, you've taken the time to build systems, to have staff. So your business, during one of, you know, being frank, one of the worst periods of your life, has still been able to continue and to grow.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, for me, is we build redundancy into everything we do, and it's it can happen. The thing is, it can happen to anyone at any point. Even this week, for example, two of my staff have got kids who've got COVID, so they've got to self-isolate for 10 days. So I'm down 2 staff. Now, that's something as simple as that. If you have, you know, no redundancy in your business, could potentially kill your business. You know, if you have one person that ships your orders and that person's off and nobody knows how to do it, then your order defect rate's going to go over 1% and you're going to get suspended, and that's the end of your business. So I think the difference is we built in redundancy into everything we do, and everything is able to be done by at least 2 people, and ideally 3 or 4. So there's still one primary person that does it, but there's always somebody else who can step into that role. So we're never, I mean, even from a simple thing, I think when you are self-employed, because you do everything yourself, you don't even think about it. When you take a holiday, then you just kind of stop the business. Whereas when you kind of grow your business, it has to continue. It can't stop. So people do go on holiday, even quite naturally, they just take time off. So you have to have redundancy in for when the times are when they're off. So by building in that redundancy, when something bad happens, you can then quite easily, you know, take yourself out of the business, and things will just keep ticking along nicely. As what happened with me, I took about 2 months off. I didn't go in the office for over 2 months. And then, in fact, even this year, I mean, it's been a bit busy year. I mean, I would say I've only been in the office about 2 months this year. Obviously, we're in July. About 8 weeks worth in the office.
And I can test it, because we speak quite often, don't we? And you're always in a different location.
Yeah.
I think, was it last week you were in the office? I was like,
I was in the office last week. Yeah.
When we spoke, you were in the office, and I was like, are you actually in the office? And but tell us about, kind of, obviously, like I said, this horrible thing that obviously happened, and, you know, I think quite unexpectedly as well. was that, from my personal experience, was when something like this happens within your business, you think, oh, okay, I'll be fine. It's at FBA. I can take a few weeks out, and it'll be fine. I'll just get back to it. But, with a death or something like that, what happens is, certainly for me, without going into too much detail, obviously, but, obviously with everything that's going on in Amazon, there's a point to this, I promise, is that it took so much longer. There was so much more to sort out. It wasn't just my dad passing away. I have a disabled mother. So she had to be sorted out. She had to be ensure that, she was looked after and she was cared for. And all this stuff takes a lot of time. And then not even adding in the grieving process and all the paperwork and, everything like that you have to deal with afterwards as well. And it's all very well saying, oh, okay, I'll get back to it kind of thing. And then what eventually happened is 1 month turned into two turned into 6 months turned into a year. And before I'd know it, literally a year had gone by. Now, obviously, we were still selling during that period of time because we had a lot of stock in Amazon at that time anyway, but it just kind of, the stock levels went down to the point where there was just nothing left. And then I had to rebuild the business again. And in that year, Amazon had changed in that year as well. That's the other thing. That was the other compounding effect, that Amazon had changed so much in that period of time. So I kind of built it back up again, and then realized, do you know what? OA, I don't know if this is for me anymore kind of thing. I don't know if this feels this kind of what I want to do, because it's changed so much and I wasn't enjoying it as much kind of thing. And obviously you guys know that's when I came across and started testing the bundles and doing all that kind of thing. And, that's where we went from there. But like literally, if I had put certain things, if I'd have just put certain things in place, then I wouldn't have been in that position. So, and same for yourself, it gives you that kind of security blanket by putting these things in place. And I'm not saying that everyone should go out and do it tomorrow, but I think what links nicely to this is obviously the changes that are taking place in Amazon at the moment. This is kind of metaphor for this. And I wanted to talk about this and listen to Matthew on this stuff, guys. Don't listen to me. I made a huge mistake on this, but listen to Matthew on this when he talks about this sort of stuff, because take away life-changing events or things like that whatsoever, I know so many more of you are going to be exploring self-fulfilled options this year because of things that are happening with Amazon in the world at the moment, and maybe potential own warehouses and things like that. And if there's one thing, that not one thing, you've obviously done loads of things, but like I said, I know when it comes to systems and building those kind of things, I think you're kind of untouchable in that respect, because like I said, just seeing what you went through with your mum and obviously and things like that, but your business actually grew during that period of time because you set it up.
The sales went up.
I don't think there's many people that can step away from the main instigator can step away from their business in that period of time. But the moral is because you spent the time investing and putting those procedures in place.
It's not just a security thing, though. It adds value to your business in a way you wouldn't realize, because even as an Amazon seller, your business has value, but it doesn't have as much value if you're the only one running it. If you build a business that doesn't need you to be there, then you can sell that business, and that adds value. If your business is just you, and if it can't be run without you, then there's no value in anybody else buying that business apart from what you generate in income. So spending time building the systems, not only does it give your business more security, longevity, and diversification, but also it gives it more value.
Definitely. And it is such a hot topic at the moment about people selling Amazon businesses. A lot of YouTubers I watch and things like that, people talking about selling their brands for private label, obviously selling their brands, but there's no reason why you can't sell a well-oiled arbitrage machine. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that over the coming years, where people really have taken the time to put these bulletproof systems and processes in place where, like you say, the main protagonist, yourself, can take yourself out of your business, then you will be able to take advantage of it. Because a few years ago, if you started talking about people selling reseller businesses, it just like literally, people would have poo-pooed you. They would have shouted you down. No, don't be so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now that's a real possibility.
Yeah, it is. And there's quite a lot of websites. There's a few websites popped up, where you can advertise your business for sale. And I think people are lazy. Sounds a bit rude to say, but people are lazy, and people are looking for that ready-built business. And especially now, it's difficult. It can be quite difficult to get into Amazon in terms of getting the approval and all the products. Buying a ready-made business is potentially a very good way for somebody to get into arbitrage.
Absolutely. And people, do have that sort of money to invest. And like you say, when you see these big conglomerates and things like that, buying brands, yes, brands, but I think we're definitely going to start seeing people selling those businesses. Johnny's just said Built to Sell, really good book on this topic. So that'll be an interesting read, and good suggestion there from Johnny. Carolyn's asked what it was called, but I assume it was called Built to Sell. But yeah, let us know the name of the book if that's not it. Carolyn says she's done the same, created a bit of a monster. Supposed to be spending a month abroad in September, but I can't afford to be away for that length of time. So going to come back 2 weeks early. Really need to look at this issue. Well, like I said, when you're building your business, it's probably not really an issue, Carolyn, but it's more a case of something that whilst your business is still definitely in the growth period, that it's something you should look at. And I think even if you can get partially something done, or because let's face it, again, when I talk to people and people talk about outsourcing their business, you can't do it all at once anyway. We're talking years in the making here, aren't we, Matthew?
Yeah, to be honest, I kind of was in that, and it was about 2 years ago was when we started to really, because I kind of came to a revelation, I suppose, where I realized that I was serving the business rather than business serving me. So most people start a business. Yes, you enjoy doing it, but it's to give you time freedom, money freedom, whatever kind of lifestyle you want to look at. And how are you going to get that lifestyle if all you do is work and you're a slave to your business? You may as well just get a job for somebody else. The point is the business is supposed to serve you. And it's supposed to give you the lifestyle you want and things that you want, whether that be money or time or travel or whatever it is. So it's really important that you build these systems in place so that you are able to do what you want to do, and take yourself away for a few weeks or whatever, and it all keep running in the background while you're doing that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we're all guilty of it. I've got to be honest, it's, I'm not by any means, perfect, right? It's my biggest flaw, is not being able to I've got better at it over the years, but it's only because I've really trained myself. Matt's worse than me. Matt really struggles. So I've always said that we are a good combination as a married couple in business. But that's something, because we're opposites. Me and Matt are complete opposites in terms of business. He says buy, I say sell. It's as simple as that. But that's one thing we're both very similar on, and it has held us back over the years, where we've not outsourced where we should have done, where we think, like I said, definitely. So heed my warning, guys. Listen to Matthew on that for sure. Howard's joined us. Evening. Philip Dyke's joined. Actually, I hope you're listening to that, Philip Dyke. He's the biggest martyr of them all. Doing the work. Get it outsourced. Get at least some part of it outsourced. That even if, like I said, it doesn't have to be 100% outsourced. It just means that it can just give you that bit of breathing space. Should you need it, should you need an extra couple of weeks to yourself or whatever. It doesn't have to be a life-changing event, but we all get ill. We all get, and again, Matthew, you'll know this with me, I suffer with losing my voice quite a lot, and I do because I talk so much, it's like I suffer with my voice a lot, and it always really worries me because I'm always constantly thinking, well, oh God, what if I can't do ESA, or what if I can't do this because I lose my voice a lot of the time. So yes, you've just got to always make sure you cover yourself. Definitely. Philip says, write the theme tune, sing the theme tune. Definitely. I think thanks, Steve's put up the book Built to Sell. So it was called Built to Sell for sure. Sean says things change. We either adapt or be left behind. Having to post merchant parcels more than ever before. May try Seller Fulfilled Prime. Yeah, absolutely. So with everything that's gone on, let's talk restock limits for a bit. I don't want to focus on it too much, obviously, because, you know, it's got a bit of a negative connotation. But obviously, since we have
there's positives in it. This is the thing. Absolutely. I think maybe that's me. For some people, there's positives in it.
Yeah, definitely. So we've not caught up since then. So with the restocks limits coming in, I know you called a lot of stock back. I know you posted on Facebook and things like that. You did call a lot of stock back, but what impact has that had on your business? Bearing in mind that everything we've talked about, you have got 2 warehouses, you've got 11 staff, you know, all these different types of things, but you were still quite heavily reliant on FBA. So how's that changed for you, really?
Yeah, so we've done more merchant fulfilled. We do a lot more merchant fulfilled now. We have like a minimum value where we send, you know, anything over a certain value gets put on merchant fulfilled because it's worth doing. Whereas if it's under a certain value, then it still goes into FBA. We are focusing now a lot more on high value goods because we have, you know, 3,000 units, whereas we used to have like 18,000 units. So whereas we used to just buy any and anything that we can make some money on, we're now focusing on high value and making as much profit, or as much, when I say profit, I don't mean margin, I mean actual profit in pounds and pence out of each unit as we can, than whereas before we were very focused on margins. I still like my margins, but our margins have dropped, but our profits have gone up because we're focusing on buying higher value goods that, you know, when I've got 3,000 units, I need to make as much out of them 3,000 units as I can. So that has affected my buying, I guess. My buying's gone more into higher value than lower value stock. We were never particularly low value anyway. I think our average price point is about £35. So our average, but it means we're now looking minimum price point about 50. So, you know, buy 50, sell for 100 kind of thing. So it's changed. But you saw the picture of the stock. A lot of that should have already come back. You know, it should never have been there. If you're running a good operation, like I think Amazon do actually run a good fulfillment operation. They're a little bit ruthless, perhaps, but maybe that's the way to be. And I think we had too much stuff in there. It was a short of it, and we weren't moving it when it was a loss leader. We should have just either cleared it or we should have pulled it back and put it on a different platform. So that's the benefit of having different platforms, is that just because something doesn't work on Amazon doesn't mean it doesn't work on eBay or Shopify or something else.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we know from obviously the training that you've done previously and occasions that you've been on, never mind the buy box before, where you've talked about, you know, what spurred you on to expand onto the different platforms was originally a suspension. We won't go back over it again, but, you know, that's what originally, you know, I don't want to bring up too much sad stuff tonight. But yeah, it was a suspension that spurred you on and made you look at those different platforms. And gradually over time, you've kind of taken the main emphasis off of Amazon. You've kind of spread it between the other main platforms, which for you are eBay and Shopify. More recently Shopify, but you've obviously been doing eBay for some time. And because of this, we actually started selling on eBay. Hadn't sold on eBay for years. And wow, honestly, I'm really surprised the stuff that we are selling on eBay at the moment and the price that we're selling the stuff. And a lot of it, you know, we haven't even started sourcing for eBay yet, which we will do in the future. This is a lot of returns, things that we, you know, not being horrible, might have given to charity or maybe just thrown out and got rid of and been clogging up the place kind of thing. But I'm actually really surprised. I know that you source to sell on eBay, so it's a completely different model, but never even given it the kind of time of day before. And yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, with eBay particularly, with a lot of stuff, when I say source, I don't source different things. I just source things I can't sell on Amazon. Yeah. You know, there's brands I can't sell on. Sorry, that's my dog barking. If you can hear that in the background. So yeah, we source most of the stuff we source for eBay is within our category, but it's stuff that can't go on Amazon, whether that be because we can't be bothered to create a listing, or there's category restrictions or brand restrictions. So that's what we do for eBay.
As Steve said, you're sounding a bit like a Dalek, Matthew. Do you know anyone that sells good microphones?
Oh, am I?
Yeah. I don't know.
Not a good sound tonight. I don't know. Is it? Is the people saying that? I could take the headphones off.
Oh no,
it's a bit rubbish.
Well, it's with that view. Look, you're right. He's right, literally on the scene. It's with
signal. The Wi-Fi is not the best here.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah, we'll have to get yourself. I think it's probably down to signal more than anything else, unfortunately. But yeah, do your best kind of Dalek impression for sure. But yeah, so with that changing, obviously making these transitions, your personal experience that you've been through, looking at everything that's happened over the last few months, like I said with Amazon, does this make your determination? Is it make your resolve even more to like, I want to get away from Amazon, or is it you're on the right path? Where are you now within your business?
To be honest, my focus this year is actually getting away from platforms as platforms. eBay, I think, is the biggest opportunity in platforms at the moment. Personally, I think Amazon is a good opportunity, but there's a lot of problems with Amazon. It's the biggest marketplace, just the biggest volume. Will you make the most money? Potentially not. eBay, I think, is the biggest opportunity, certainly for private label sellers, actually, eBay. But for me, it's going one step further, and it's actually creating e-commerce. I want to create an e-commerce retailer of our own, on our own platform, and not be reliant on platforms. We will obviously use platforms. We will always make sales on platforms. But the idea is that our own website will be the biggest proportion of our sales. Something that we can control, and something that we have value on. That we can potentially resell in the future, and I can actually retire.
Absolutely. Well, I think you're like semi-retired now, aren't you?
Yeah, a little bit.
I bet if I asked your staff, they'd be like, Matthew.
Oh, yeah, they literally, yeah. Who's this person? Pops in now and again.
Who's that? Pops in, thinking it's a big I am. No, Philip says I've been building a big order for next year and using Terapeak on eBay as well as Keeper on Amazon. Found a lot of items that sell for more on eBay than Amazon. And I think that's a big surprise for a lot of people, definitely.
Yeah.
So big opportunities. I know Sean does well. Johnny, I don't know if you're still watching, whether or not you've entered into the eBay market yet, but I'm sure it's definitely on your list. So I think, we've talked about it previously. If you're kind of selling on one, and especially if you are almost being forced into a little bit of self-fulfillment, guys, you have got to go down the eBay route now. Especially, I mean, you're always the first one in saying, like, you're always going to sell more on Amazon. You're always going to sell in terms of volume, more. Sure. But potentially your figures might not be too far off, because you can potentially, it's not going to work for everything, but prices are higher than people think on eBay.
Yeah, and why work for twice as hard for half the money? The fees are lower on eBay across every category, so the fees are already lower. And then if you've got the right postage, you can rival FBA prices, sometimes even undercut them, because the thing about Amazon is they charge you per unit. So if one customer orders 10 or 20, you get charged per unit, whereas on eBay you can parcel that into one, and you can offer good multi-buy discounts on eBay, which will massively increase your margins. It's such an amazing thing that I don't know why Amazon don't do it, but it's a huge way. We do a lot of business to business customers, and we make massive profits because we can offer them a small discount and make on the postage, because it's costing us the same to post one as it does to do 10 or 20 in one parcel.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's really interesting, again, this is since we've really seriously talked about eBay before, is that obviously even if you are holding stocking in Amazon, that multi-channel fulfillment prices have come down a lot. Amazon made this big reduction on their fees. Yes, they're still not as bad as, still not as good as FBA fees, but they have come down, which means that where people might have discounted using multi-channel fulfillment before because the fees are a lot higher, that actually now that might be a plausible option for some sellers, especially sellers that, you know, are holding stock within FBA that maybe isn't moving as much as they would like.
Yeah, it is definitely an option. I mean, I would always push people towards getting their own little warehouse. It doesn't need to be, you know, just get your little self store, and if you store your products yourself, you've got complete control over your products, and you've got so much more opportunity. As you've seen with Amazon, Amazon is a great platform, but Amazon does what suits Amazon. It doesn't do what suits you. It does what suits Amazon. And if you've got your own fulfillment, then it doesn't matter what happens to you, because you just shift into another platform, or, you know, if the reset limits come in, well, you just merge and fulfill it, or you sell it on eBay, you sell it on Shopify, or you can do all of that from one pool of inventory because it's all in your little storage, and it doesn't need to cost loads, and it doesn't need to be a big 10,000 square foot and looking at leases and stuff. Even something as small as a little self-store container will be sufficient for a small fulfillment operation. And I think a lot of people, to be honest, just need to bite the bullet and get on with it. Is the reality of it.
Yeah, it's always been the reality of business, and it has been Amazon that have spoiled us, you know, over the last few years by allowing us to send in so much stock to their fulfillment centers, and just, you know, them kind of dealing with it, and us never having to kind of even touch the stock in a lot of cases for guys that source straight to prep centers, and then prep centers, obviously, you know, I understand the shock that this has caused, and the fact that, you know, we're talking about self-fulfillment and things like that, and there'll be people watching this, people that will watch the replay and thinking, well, that's not the reason I got into this business. I was sold this business, you know, whatever way you came in, whether you bought a course, whether you watched stuff on YouTube or whatever. I'm absolutely certain one of the biggest attracting features for most people would have been the line, and I've said it myself, said it on YouTube, said it in my beginners courses. Guess what, guys? Amazon take care of all the stock for you. You don't even have to physically hold the stock if you don't want to. So there will be a lot of people now in this position when we start talking about self-fulfillment, but it's only because Amazon has spoiled us for so long, you know, whereas it is the normal way of the world, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and the thing is, as well, there's a huge number of third-party fulfillment companies popping up as well. So I think the thing is just because Amazon is the best fulfillment company, I would say, you know, if you compare everything you get, price, service, you know, that, because most fulfillment companies, although they might be potentially better on price, for example, they don't often take the loss of the parcels, which Amazon do. That's the big thing for me, is you've got all your insurances sorted out with Amazon. So, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, you need your own fulfillment, or you need a backup. It's diversification again. It's redundancy. We have multiple warehouses because we've got redundancy. If one floods, we've got another one to work out of. If one person's ill, we've got another person to pick it up. And that's how you build. That's why all these things that happen that everybody says, oh, I can't sell anymore. It's just like an email to the team. Oh, just to let you know, resale limits have changed. We're doing this now. Thanks. See you next week. That's literally how it was for us. We just sent an email saying, right, from now on, we're changing it. So we're doing this much goes out merchant fulfilled, and this much goes to Amazon. Let me know how we get on. Thanks. See you next week. That was literally that, you know. But if you've got the redundancy in your business by diversification, then these kind of little things don't become big things.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, that kind of moves us nicely onto one of the other things I wanted to talk about tonight, which is the new iOS system, which is the new import one-stop shop for anyone that hasn't heard about it. We've been talking about it a couple of weeks. I've got to be honest, it's still super new. There's still holes in this that, you know, we're not 100% aware of, but, you know, I'm going through roller coaster with this, Matt. I'm going through, like, 1 minute I think, yes, this is the answer. It's great. Everyone's going to get that 20-30% back in their business from being able, that they lost, you know, through losing EFN and losing the German and particular French marketplaces. And then I go through a little downer on it and think, no, I don't think it is. It's, you know, it looks like there's going to be a lot of red tape and big load of faff and everything like that. And I kind of, yeah, like I said, I'm going through this roller coaster with it at the moment. You know, last week we was like, okay, well, you can only earn 10 grand doing it before you've got to go through and register and VAT. But then we found out afterwards, actually, that no, that doesn't apply to us because we're not in Europe. That was confirmed by Mark Hawley. So that's not an issue that we thought was a big issue. But then obviously there's been a few people. I know Steve's one of them. I don't think he's watching tonight. And I think Nick, part of the ESA and Secret Wealth project group, is a few people have been making sales and just making a massive loss on these sales that are happening through the iOS system. But to be fair, I think that's because they are priced at normal pricing, whereas obviously you do have to take into account that Amazon will pull the VAT away from you, so prices will need to go up to take that into account. But as we're learning kind of more and more about it, like I said, it looks like it is definitely going to open up some doors to selling to Europe again, especially again if you are in charge of your own fate on the self-fulfillment side of things.
Yeah, I mean, is it? I'm not sure if it's working with FBA yet, is it? Or
Well,
is it at all?
Yeah, it is.
Is it? It is apparently. Okay. Because I did my first iOS order through Amazon last week on Germany, so we self-fulfilled. We're self-fulfilling a lot of parcels, European parcels. So we did our first one. So we'll see how we get on with that. It was pretty simple connecting up the system to Royal Mail. You just have to put your iOS number in. So you put Amazon's iOS number in for Amazon, eBay's number for eBay. It's a bit more complicated for your own website because you have to register yourself and get your own number. The beauty for platforms is you use their number.
Yeah,
that's the beauty of the system. Is you don't have to file any returns because the platform does it for you. So Amazon will do the return, and eBay will do the return, and they'll take the VAT, and then they take it away from you and give it over to the relevant VAT authority. So it seems very good for merchant fulfilled. I think, especially for eBay, I think it's going to be a winner for eBay. Amazon, I'm not so sure. I don't know if PanEU is going to be better, really. If you are actually going to make more money just using PanEU, because the fulfillment's so good in Europe for Amazon, because you're going to have to domestically ship. The beauty with eBay is you can set your postage rates per item, per location. Amazon, it's a lot more difficult, and there are a lot of the listings tend to just kind of copy across, and you can only mark them up by a set percentage. It doesn't really take account of the fulfillment. Whereas with eBay, you can set it per item, per listing on each marketplace. So I think the real winner for iOS S will be eBay. You know, all of that's taken care of. You've still got the GSP program, and you know you're doing it for yourself self-fulfillment anyway. So I think eBay is going to be a big winner for that. I'm really excited to get that going on our eBay in the next couple of weeks. We've just done a few trial orders just to make sure they're all clearing correctly and there's no issues before we go full in on it. But it's looking positive. It looks like a step in the right direction, certainly, for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that, like I said, well, as I was looking through it, I was looking at the pan and I was looking at this and that, because we're going through the process of pan for the private label at the moment. And I think for us, we'll probably use the iOS to just get started back in the European marketplaces again. But I think in terms of, because it's private label, because I mean, I personally think arbitrage for storing goods in Europe is, I'm going to be one of these gurus that says it. I think it's dead, to be perfectly honest. I can't see much of a way around it, to be perfectly honest, for even with pan-European, because there's so much red tape in terms of getting those goods over the border. It's not, you can physically sell on them, guys. That's not the issue. I'm not saying, oh, Amazon's dead or anything like that. It's the red tape that's involved at the moment. Now, over time, yeah, that's probably going to increase and it's going to get better. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. But right now, it's not going to be possible. But it's totally possible for private label because it's only one product, multiples of that one product. So therefore, you know, filling out 6 bits of information about that is a hell of a lot easier than filling out 6 bits of import information about 400 products, which, you know, it's unimaginable to do. And that's why that side of things is so difficult at that time. So whereas this, for those that are willing to do that level of self-fulfillment, definitely I feel that there is going to be good opportunity. But I agree with you. I think pan, especially if you are selling your own products, is probably in the longer term going to be the better route anyway. But we have to wait and see how this progresses, because, you know, nobody's an authority on this yet, because no one's been doing it long enough, you know, for it to really, you know, it's going to take us a couple of months, you know, and listening, talking to different various sellers with different experiences to see how, if we think it's as good as we hope it will be, you know. So
Yeah.
but yeah, everyone I know is just making losses at the moment.
Well, I mean, we're VAT registered anyway, so if you're VAT registered, it won't make much impact on your sales because, you know, you're paying VAT anyway. I think for those who aren't VAT registered, I wouldn't bother personally. I don't think. No. I think it seems a lot of work, and you're potentially going to lose out because you're now paying VAT on products that you weren't paying VAT on before. So potentially wouldn't work in that respect. Yeah, another thing to consider here is responsible persons. I'm not sure if people are aware of this, but because we're now not in Europe, you now have to have an appointed person in Europe for all the products you sell to act as a responsible person. Now, I have clarification on this. If you're buying direct from distribution or wholesale, then there will be an appointed person already for the majority of brands in Europe. So there'll be, you know, if you're buying from Samsung, then there'll be a Samsung distributor in Europe and they will act as a responsible person. If you're buying OA, it's a bit great because you're not officially buying official resale, you know, not an authorized reseller.
Yeah.
So you need to ensure that there is a responsible person, because the problem is a responsible person has to have access to all the conformity paperwork. Again, if you buy from distribution, won't be a problem. Just message your supplier, they'll have all the paperwork to hand. If you're buying away from B&M or something, there could be issues. So I think it's just something to consider. I think I agree with you. I think the OA model, pan EU, unless you're going to get stuff in significant volumes where you've perhaps got a good relationship with your retailer, is not going to work. It's going to only be wholesale. There's going to be good opportunity. You know, wholesale distribution is going to work really well into Europe because there's going to be much less competition. That's why I'm saying pan EU is going to be the way to go with that. Shipping pallets in of one type of product, one lot of paperwork, then have that product sent from within Europe is going to be really, really good. Whereas I think OA is going to be very difficult to do on Amazon, unless it's high value and it's perhaps worth filling out the paperwork. Unless you, I mean, the IOSS may be the saving grace here, and it might make it worth doing, but I don't know. We'll see. It's one of them. It's we'll see. It's a very we'll see. It's full of optimism in its wording, but then the Brexit deal was full of optimism in its wording, and then by 3 weeks later, it all transpired it was a load of rubbish and it wasn't fit for purpose. So it's whether this is actually going to work as good as it claims. Another thing we found as well is that each European country is different. The Netherlands and France have been very relaxed, and the majority of shipments are just going sailing through, no delays. Germany is being extremely strict, and actually the majority of shipments we've had have either been returned or delayed if the paperwork's slightly out. You know, we had one commodity code was 1 digit wrong, parcel was rejected because they didn't agree that it was the right commodity code.
Wow.
We got an A to Z claim on that because the customer never got the product. So it depends. This is what I'm saying. It's not as simple as it's easy, because where you're selling to, it's very different rules and different attitudes to the system.
And you know, this is the beauty of the IOS system, is that Amazon take care of all that for you. So
yes,
know, and sorry, not Amazon, the Amazon or the carrier. Again, that's the part I'm still confused about. Is it Amazon or is it Royal Mail that take care of it for you?
I think Royal Mail take care of the clearing and Amazon take care of the VAT.
Yeah. Oh, so it's like a combination thing. So
I believe.
This is going to be a good system that those who are able to utilize with it. And I suspect, like I said, it's going to be those that are selling on eBay that do. I'm not saying it's, if you're not selling on eBay and you're not self-fulfilling, then it can't be an option. It's just we don't know that much we still don't know that much about it yet. But like we're still learning everything about Brexit and what has to happen with there as well. It's like the responsible person thing, you know. In the future, in a year's time, 18 months time, that information, even on OA products, is going to be printed on the box. It doesn't legally have to be done so at this moment in time. And what's not going to obviously, it doesn't have to be done here if you're not selling in Europe. But if you've got someone like Fisher Price, they're not going to say, right, well, 50,000 units of that one's going to France, so put the responsible person on it, but 50,000 is going to the UK. Don't bother putting the responsible person on that. It doesn't work like that with big business. What's going to happen is there will be a blanket covering of that. And in 12, 18 months time, you'll be able to pick up a product and it will state the responsible person on it anyway. So then all you just need to do is go into Seller Central, put it on the system, and you won't even have to worry about responsible person, even if you are selling, waving my tube around, even if you are, selling into Europe. So like I said, it's taking time for all this stuff to kind of catch up and for us to get savvy with it. And with all the other standard changes going on at the moment, it just takes time to adapt and put these things in place. But I'll tell you what, for anyone that hasn't watched the video that I shared, which was shared on Vlad's group, I think a couple of days ago as well, so I stole it off them, but I did give the poster credit, which was this thing about Alibaba and how that they're coming in. If anyone hasn't watched that video yet, it's only about 6 minutes. Absolutely fascinating. Watch it about how they're coming for Amazon. Oh, big time. There's me.
That's what Amazon needs, though. It needs some proper competition.
Yeah, there's me.
That's what Amazon's lacked. I don't think government regulation will do it. I think because I noticed, have you seen all these adverts recently about, we've got like 700 million sellers and all this kind of stuff, and 700 million people depend on us for employment and small businesses and all this kind of stuff. So it's like they're obviously going for don't target us because it's not affecting us, it's the small sellers. But that is true. There is a lot of small businesses on Amazon, and Amazon needs some kind of competition to make them think, actually, we need to treat our sellers with a bit more respect. I think particularly with suspensions.
Yeah, definitely. I was really shocked. Whilst we've all been keeping up when the world's been focused on Amazon, Alibaba have been beavering away. I'll tell you that now. Most of us know Alibaba from a private label point of view. It's where a lot of people buy their products from. They connect with manufacturers and things like that. But on the sly, they have not on the sly. I've made it sound like they've done something dodgy. But what they've been doing is they have been building this really big and slick machine. 160,000 packages a day they're now sending out direct to consumer, which I'd love to see the stats from Amazon's point of view on that. I'm sure Amazon's more, but listen to this statistic, right? Alibaba, yes, it's in the Chinese market, obviously. But there was a day last year, and I don't know what the day's called, and it's called, it slipped my mind what it's called. It's called like Seller's Day or I don't know, something like that, where Alibaba produced $75 billion in revenue over this like period of time. I think it's 11 days or something like that, which was actually more than the whole world's economy of e-commerce sales combined, including Amazon.
Wow.
So it eclipsed it, completely eclipsed the sales. And what they want to do now is, because the Chinese world knows that governments are going after them, like the whole iOS thing is because of it cracking down on Chinese sellers.
Yeah. It's not because of Brexit. People think it's because of Brexit. It's not. It's to crack down on Chinese sellers and the lack of competition. That's like how they're getting around paying VAT and things. So it's not fair competition for native sellers.
So what's the simplest thing for them to do is try and connect with the consumer direct through AliExpress and, and pushing on. Instead of paying $40 for a private label seller on Amazon, you can get it delivered for $15 or $20 or something like that. Now, again, this might beg the question, well, is this going to be the end of private label? Of course not. There are people out there that still don't know that third-party sellers sell on Amazon, that people don't sell themselves. I had a conversation this afternoon at a kid's party whilst drinking a few wines, I'll be honest. But this afternoon about, really? What, you sell on Amazon? It's not Amazon, So it's never going to kill anyone. But I tell you what, with things introducing and worldwide shipping becoming more global, now, they can get direct from manufacturer to consumer shipping 3 days from China.
Wow.
That's through all of the checkpoints, through all of the importing and everything like that. So, China, a bit like Amazon, know that the scrutiny's on them and things like that. And, governments and global markets are looking at them and they're adapting. And I think whilst everyone's had their eye on Amazon and Jeff's had his eye on space, this has been growing and growing and growing. And everyone said, oh, it's going to be Walmart, it's going to be eBay, it's going to be this. No, it's going to be the Chinese.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, they're the ones that are going to give Amazon a good old run for the money. So
yeah,
we'll wait and see what happens. But it's only about 6 minutes long. But it's really some really interesting statistics in it. Hope it's true after I've gone through and said all that. Definitely. So Karen says she sold something merchant fulfilled in Germany today. Thought I'd turned Europe off. Cost me £11 to post, lesson learned. So Dean said for iOS, is it just a case of connecting the Build International listings in Seller Central? Is it FBA also as well? So I mean, I've not connected it, so
I'm not sure if it's FBA. Well, we did a merchant fulfilled order for Build International listings, and that was automatically done as iOS. So.
Yes.
I'm not. I need to understand exactly how Amazon's dealing with it. But my interpretation is that Amazon is assuming anything going to a European country shipped from the UK, whether you're selling it what platform is iOS. Yeah. So they just automatically blanket taking the ban. I guess the only exception would be as if it's pan EU.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if the two systems are compatible. That was another thing that I was unsure of today. I don't know if you can have both.
Yeah, this is it. This is what me and Matt were talking about the other day, because
Oh, we've lost Natalie.
Hello?
If we can get back. Oh, she's back. Bye then.
Sorry, am I back?
Leave me on. I was like, all right, yeah, bye then.
I was like, you know me, I like wave my arms all over. I've literally hit the computer. That's what it was. Wave my arms all over the place.
It's not back now.
No, I'm back. I'm back. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can see you now.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
You just left the studio. I was like, oh, right, that's gone.
Literally, all I did was I moved my hand and it went across the mouse pad, and it must have like sent me backwards, kind of thing. Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. But it was those wines at that party. That's what it was. Yeah, I blame them. So, I've forgotten what I was saying now.
Yeah, so which of the two systems are compatible? If you can have registrations, and I'm not 100% on how this, because the problem is obviously I don't think you can register the two systems, but then Amazon is doing this for you. So yes. I'm not. I need to look into it. I'm going to get some proper advice from some of our tax advisors and see what they say. If it's worth actually ditching, maybe we're going to ditch the registrations and the compliance, and then go iOS. I don't know.
Yeah, because Build International Listings was not built for this purpose, so it'll be interesting, and that's why I think so many people are experiencing losses at the moment. Don't get me wrong, I don't think Amazon's going to change anything, but we need to understand the format and the formulation of how, by enabling Build International Listings, because obviously you would normally add a percentage or a fixed cost onto that, but it's slightly different now. It's not a percentage taken above to take into account. It's a worked back percentage, which is different. So yeah, Matthew, you can be our guinea pig, because what I sell won't translate into European markets, to be perfectly honest. And like I said, for the private label, I see no option other than to go down the pan-European route. That's going to be the better option, and storing stock, within those countries and VAT registering in those countries. So it'd be interesting, definitely, to see. I think Steve's grabbed the link to that video. So make sure you have a look at that video. Like I said, it's only a few minutes long, but it's definitely worth it. 100%. I'm scared to touch anything now. Just I think Sean's just talked about sort of eBay sellers. eBay is higher for me on the small cheaper products because the fees are lower and things like that. And now that obviously Amazon has slightly changed the small and light program, hasn't made it more expensive, but made it used to be able to just chuck a million things into a box and not worrying about it. But now I believe with the small and light program, you have to FNSKU everything. So again, it's not a physical monetary cost unless you're paying for prep, obviously, as well. If you're paying 50p for someone to sticker that, whereas it could just be, chucked in a box before, that on the smaller and cheaper items might have made it, because I know with Small and Light, people make 50p margins and pound margins and things like that.
Yeah.
Might have definitely pushed.
That's another benefit of the restock limits that you just reminded me of, is that we're not wasting time prepping products that aren't selling, because we're only sending in the products that we're allowed to send in that will sell. Because we used to, we'd buy 100, we'd prep every single one and send 100 in. And the problem was, if you didn't sell them, they were prepped for Amazon. And a lot of the time when you're selling, because you can't then resell them back into distribution because they've got stickers all over and nobody wants them. So, there is quite a few pros to the restock limits, which people perhaps might not be appreciating.
Yeah, it's going to be a hard sell at the moment for a lot of people. We'll always keep upbeat, and we'll try and find as many solutions for people as possible. But realistically, it's not going anywhere. So we do have to change what we're doing. And the latest things that we're sort of seeing and experiencing is obviously, don't take your stock too close to the limits. I've seen a lot of people saying that now, because at the end of the day, if you've got a utilization of 3,000 and you're at 2,999, again, just another indication to Amazon that you're not managing your stock correctly. You're maxing out those limits. And the reason they put these restock limits in place is absolutely and fully because they are full. So therefore it kind of defeats the object. It's a bit like giving someone a rope, and then you give them an inch, they take a mile kind of thing. So it's
like,
that.
I think it's like a credit card would be a good analogy. If you max it out every month, then they often cut your credit because they don't think you're spending responsibly. Same with Amazon. If you think you're maxing it out every month, then you're not dealing with your limit responsibly, so they cut your limit.
I think if you max it out and pay it off every month, they love that. So if you did that to Amazon, if you're maxing out your limits and you're selling everything, of course, they're going to love that. But people are maxing out their limits and they're not paying it off because they're not selling what they're supposed to within that 30-day period. And that's something we've definitely learned over the last few weeks or so, that, Amazon came out with all these algorithms and we'll take it on your, we'll give you 90 days allowance and this and that. But in reality, they've pretty much come out and said now, look, we want you to hold 30 days of stock. That's it. We don't want you to be holding anything more. And we're definitely not in, we're not in Q4 yet. Ash just joined us. Good evening. Good to see you too. Do you know what? I knew that was Ash straight away. So, Ash's name doesn't come up, and I thought, that's Ash. She said that. Good to see you. So yeah, big changes, lots of things happening. But like I said, it's good to catch up with you in here, because I know that you're someone that's kind of going to be blazing the trail on ensuring that your business isn't, negatively affected as much as possible.
Yeah.
Can't do everything, of course.
No, but like I say, it's. I mean, we did it. I think we have lost sales because we haven't had product in place. Had we sent everything in, because you've got to be very tight on your stock management. If you're only sending 10 in, and then you need to make sure that when you're on the 9th one, that you send this refund in, so you've got continuation, and that is not realistic for the majority of people. They're not that on it for the stock, especially if you've got lots of lines like we have. So we have lost sales because we haven't had stock in place at the time we should have. I mean, Amazon's pretty quick at receiving shipments. I've noticed they've not been taking ages like they were at the start of the year. They've been pretty blazing quick. But
it's because no one's got any limit.
No one's got any limit. But you've still got, if you to maximize your sales, you've got to have stuff in, and we have lost sales for product we haven't had in place. But I think it's just a change, and it's the marketplace has changed so much over 10 years. I mean, if I showed you my Amazon account from 2009, you'd be like, what on earth is this? It's completely different, and it's a completely different set of rules, and things change and things evolve, and you've got to move with it.
Yeah, when I think back to 2016, and I, even then, which is obviously 6 years after you started, or 7 years after you started, it's changed so much in them, but there's still nothing, and I say this, hand on heart, there's still nothing that's happened over the last 18 months or whatever, with everything that's gone on, that I don't think, or that is going to stop the Amazon selling machine, that is going to take away that opportunity. If anything, and this is me, again, 100% being transparent, 18 months ago, before the pandemic, I was genuinely worried about how people really would be able to make this business work on Amazon. But actually, when I think about it, and everything that's happened over the last 12 months, it's just fueled the opportunity so much more, but only if you adapt with it, guys. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It will change, and it will always change, and what it'll be like in 5 years' time will not be like what it is today.
I'll still be here having my wines. I'll still be here talking about it in 5 years' time. Well, before you start going all Dalek-y again, Matthew, and start exterminating people, I think we will call it a night. It's been wonderful to catch up with you. I'm glad to see, obviously, that you are back in the saddle and, you know, doing so well with the business. And we look forward to seeing, obviously, seeing your face a little bit more in the Secret Wealth Project. Maybe we can get you back for some training again at some point in the future. If I ask him live, he has to do it. Oh no!
Is that like a form? Is that like a form? Is that like a form of blackmail? Is that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Put me on the spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, we'll see. How's that for an answer? Non-committal answer.
Sound like a politician. But yeah, it's been lovely. Great catching up with you guys. Thanks everyone for watching. I think it's either Matt Webley or Luke next week. I'm not 100% sure. I did a couple on my own during the football because I thought,
yeah, I saw them.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed them, but I've loved having you back on tonight, and I certainly couldn't do it every week. You know, I'd like literally lose my voice 10 times over, but it was nice. And what I didn't want to do is there was a lot more people that ended up joining live than I thought, because I thought, oh, it's going to be like blooming, you know, it's going to be like a dust bowl. People are not going to watch because they'll be watching football or catching up on stuff and things like that. And actually loads of people ended up watching because I thought, oh, I don't want to waste like a really good guest if like no one's going to watch, obviously. But they did in the end. But here we are. So it's good to get someone back on again. But yeah, not 100% sure who's going to be on next week, but whoever it is, we will always be talking about the ins and outs and everything that is going on in the world of Amazon. And certainly we're going to be talking about a lot more different types of e-commerce over the next 6 months, and definitely as we approach into Q4. So I'm sure we'll see you again, Matthew. Thanks for joining. Thanks everyone for watching, and we will see you soon. Take care.
See you soon. Bye.